Just falling off.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Metaphysical Insights. Today, my guest is the one and only Mr. Rocky Smith, man of many hats, as you can see one of them right here. Rocky is the director of the Oregon Ghost Conference and the owner of Northwest Ghost Tours and Haunted Oregon City. In his day job, he's actually teaches school and is on the city commission. So he's got a few irons in the fire. Anyway, welcome, Rocky.
How are you?
And I'm great. How's Seaside?
Awesome. Yeah.
Excellent. If people want to write in questions or anything, they can do so because I can highlight them and they'll show up on the screen. The magic power I have, um, sorcerer. Anyway, we want to talk a little bit about the conference, about ghosty things, about tours, about the whole deal. Um, and I know you've been on a lot of shows and you've talked about the beginning of the conference and all that.
Right.
So why don't we go more into what's in store for people this week and this weekend? Because you're there all week giving tours, right?
Yeah. So got here last night. I actually had planned originally to do tours starting last night, but the weather was not that great. I didn't have any ticket sales last night, and so I stayed kind of at home in Oregon City, packing everything up and trying to get organized. Made it out here to Seaside about 9 o'clock last night. Uh,
Wow.
so yeah, so we got here kind of late and did a little walkabout in Seaside just to you know how when you go to the beach you kind of like, I don't like to go to the beach and then just like go to sleep. It's like I'm at the beach, I need to see the ocean.
Right.
So I don't care what time of night it is. I had to go walk down and see the ocean and get my mind straight that I was actually at the coast. So that was really nice. And then kind of walked around and went out to dinner, and that was about it for last night.
Well, we were talking a little bit earlier. It sounds like you had a few interesting things going on in Seaside last night, other than
Yeah.
spring break.
Well, I mean, you know some of the things that have happened to me over the years of doing the tours in Oregon City and other places.
Right.
And you know what it's like to come to a place that you haven't been at for a while.
Hmm.
Uh, should we say a spirited place that we haven't been at in a while?
Right.
Um, and I find this in Oregon City when I'm doing my tours where it's more active at the beginning of the season and more
Hmm.
active at the end of the season. And I have always kind of believed that that was because um, it's, oh, Rocky's back. You know, like when you're doing the tours, and you know this by doing tours, when you're doing that, you usually have a time period or a season, and you don't do it. I don't always do it year round. So
Right.
places that I'm visiting are being visited a certain amount of time, and it's almost like when I start back the tours every season that it's kind of like, oh, he's back, and it's
Hmm.
time for us to tell our stories, and it's time for him to share them. So it seems like things kind of ramp up, and you notice things happening where you kind of feel like, okay, we're back again,
Yeah.
um, and then it does that kind of at the end of the season. So last night I felt that. I felt that coming into Seaside, not only with the spirits that are here in this town, but the town itself. Walking around today and last night, uh, for those of us that are used to planning events or planning tours in cities that may not be always supportive of the things that you're doing or with tourism in general,
Hmm.
uh, it's hard to believe when you come to a place that is, and that is that's so entwined with making sure the town operates and that tourism is such a vital part of it that when you walk into this town, I don't come here a lot. I come to Seaside a few times a year, and then definitely for the Ghost Town Conference. But when I go and walk around, especially with this hat on and this T-shirt on,
Mhm.
people know who I am,
Right.
and they know why I'm there, and they're more than happy to promote what we're doing. And so every place you go, they know about the event, they know what's going on, and they want to help promote it. And you don't even really have to say anything.
Yeah.
Uh, and that is not something that I find in too many places. So Seaside's been a good home for the this second half of what's the 10 years of the Ghost Conference. And so last night when we walked around, we're staying at the Salt Line Hotel, which is a brand new, fairly new hotel right by the convention center.
Mhm.
And so we're within, basically a block of the convention center and a block of the ocean. So walked down onto the promenade last night, passed by the aquarium, and walked down towards the turnaround at Seaside. And as I walked by the Shiloh Inn, which is actually one of the places rumored to be haunted here in Seaside,
Mhm.
um, not so much because of the history of the Shiloh Inn, but because of the 4, 5, 6 hotels that predated the Shiloh Inn on that same location. And so as I approached the Shiloh Inn, there's floodlights along the top of the hotel facing out to the beach.
Right.
And as I passed by, I wasn't looking at the hotel. So as soon as I realized that a light had gone out, so you're kind of walking and I'm so noticeable of lights going out. And I actually just talked about this the other night on Pete's show and Nicole's show, I think. And I just noticed a light went out. And so I'm
Mhm.
looking around and I'm looking all over the place, and I noticed the giant floodlight on the top of the Shiloh Inn had gone out as I walked by it. And I continued to walk down past the building, and as I went by, each floodlight went out as I passed it. There was like 3 of them. Um, and I was like, "Okay, I think they know we're back."
Yeah, that's a little too much, too
Yeah.
many of them to be a coincidence.
Yeah, it was cool because the first one I kind of thought, oh, I should keep an eye on this, and I kind of walked down. And I turned around, and the other 2 had kind of in sequence gone off as well, and
Right.
then came back on full, and really kind of walked around the block.
Well, I
So
noticed, I know that there are periods where that happens for you in a lot of places. I've been there and watched it,
yeah,
and it's like you could almost point and say what's going to go off and what's going to go on.
there's been
Mm.
times where I've actually done that, and
Yeah.
so much so that people thought that I had like a controller that I was like, actually control. But then today, we were working on stuff all most of the day, and then I walked around. I went to visited 20 hotels today, just to talk with everybody, and um, we walked into. As I was walking up to one of the hotels, let's see what it was, is the Seashore Inn, which is the Seashore Inn is right there next to the Shiloh Inn,
Okay.
the prom. And so we're walking up the parking lot to go into the office. And as we're walking up to the building, the Ghostbusters theme song was playing. And I was like, there's another thing. It's so bizarre. And you just think, okay, there's something. Well, we were also talking, I was talking about with Nicole, I don't believe in coincidences. I
Right.
just don't. And so to me, that's like another sign. Um, I walked down today also to the Gilbert House, which is a really cool old Victorian home, one of the older houses in the city, from former mayor of Seaside in 1912. It was his home, and got to talk to some people there today, and talked to the lady at the front desk, and got a few little tidbits on some of the ghost stories there. So it's been a fun just 2 days so far, but I'm still working nonstop to
Okay.
get ready for the weekend.
Yeah. Now, are you free to tell us any of those stories you heard today, or do people have to wait and take the tour?
Oh, that's a good point.
Of
Well,
course, now a lot of people that are going to watch this aren't going to be able to get on the tour because
hey,
I have
if
a worldwide audience.
oh well, yeah, that's true. Um,
So
people
mostly I want to hear.
people in the Portland area, if they after this get in their car and drive here, they might have time to get a quick bite to eat and still make it for the tour at 7:30.
Uh-huh.
So I'm doing tours tonight and through all the nights of the spring break. So every night this week through the 26th, I'll be doing ghost tours. 7:30 and 9:30, and William will be doing ghost tours this weekend too. So
Right.
um, and depending on how many tickets we sell for the tours, we might partner up or we might do whatever. I don't know. We kind of wait and see what the numbers are with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I walked in. It was kind of interesting because the truth is with the Alexander Gilbert house, it's it's one of those places where you go into a town and you're like, oh, that place is haunted, and
Right.
it just and I mean that in the sense that um, stereotypical kind of like, oh, that house is an old, cool looking house, and you just want it to be haunted. It just
Right.
feels like it should have a cool story. And this
It's
house,
beautiful, if I remember right.
yeah,
It's not like it's run down and creepy.
right.
It's a
No,
gorgeous property. Yeah.
no. But of the time, and it is definitely has the vibe that this place has some stories.
Uh-huh.
Well, it never really has. Like, I mean, I've never really had many people say anything about the Gilbert house, or if it was mentioned as being haunted, it was always kind of just in jest. But so no real documentation of really any elaborate stories, and so it's always been one of those places that is kind of a mystery to me, like, okay, are we ever going to hear anything about it? And I talk about the house extensively and Alexander Gilbert on the tours anyway, because he's such an important figure in Seaside's history. And honestly, the connections between Seaside and Oregon City keep piling up. Like I never imagined how many different coincidental things are connected to the two cities. And so Alexander Gilbert I found fascinating because he kind of fits. He's the John McLaughlin of Seaside, right? I mean,
Right.
although he wasn't the founder of Seaside, Alexander Gilbert was the mayor. But um, the connections that make sense to me are things like this. Alexander Gilbert, I think about the prom in Seaside, right?
Yep.
Or in
Hmm.
City has a prom, right?
Exactly.
We have the McLaughlin Promenade, and then you have the Seaside Promenade. And that's just kind of an odd coincidence. But it's another example of somebody thought that this place was so important enough that they had to donate it back to the city to say this is a place that nobody should own. This is a place that should be a public place where everyone can enjoy it.
Right.
And that's what Alexander Gilbert did. He bought all this property here and he gave that whole strip along the ocean front back to the city to keep it as a park, much like McLaughlin did to the Bluff in Oregon City. Um, so I love the history of that. And we talk about the Gilbert district, which is across the Nicanacum River from the bridge tender where the fire was. There was a huge fire in Seaside in 1912. And during that fire, most of the half the city burned to the ground.
That
And
was all on the east side of the river, correct?
right.
Yeah.
And so after the fire, Alexander Gilbert basically rebuilt a few blocks of the city there with concrete buildings that now is referred to as the Gilbert block and is has his name on it. So
Hmm.
um, so when I went into the house today, I kind of asked, oh, is there any, well, you can't not bring up ghosts when you walk into a house and you're promoting the ghost conference. So
Exactly.
it wasn't like I was just some random person coming in and asking about ghosts. But I went in and I said something about the house and commented about the fact that I do talk about the house on the tours. And but I said, I really haven't ever heard much about ghost stories in the house. And she's like, oh, yeah, the lady that was working there today basically said, well, there really isn't that many. And I knew that because, I tried to do research and try to find some and really didn't have any leads on that. But what's cool is the Gilbert house, again, another Oregon City connection, reminds me of Sarah Chase's house in Oregon City. He built this small kind of cabin on the beach, and it over time, you know, much as Sarah Winchester did, just kept building and apparently stopped, before it got out of control. But the Sarah Chase house, in Oregon City, she started in this kind of small, house, and then eventually, built to this big, uh, kind of more mansion style houses. And that's
Right.
what Alexander Gilbert did. So there is a vibe. Like I walked into the portion of the house that's the Gilbert house, which is the original part of the original home.
Mhm.
And there's definitely an energy there. I definitely felt a difference from one part of the building into the next. And they have had people comment about that as well.
Okay.
Know that they have, hear footsteps and, things might be moved from one place to another, lights being turned off, those kind of things. But even when you hear those, they're cool little stories, but they're generic enough that it's not to the level of the stories that I love, where you get to actually say, okay, well, yes, we have these stereotype of ghost stories, but can we actually start narrowing down to who it was and who's what these people, are people seeing something? And I don't
Right.
think that's happening there at the Gilbert house. I think there's definitely a presence there that you can feel when you walk in,
Mhm.
and I don't know if you've ever been inside.
Not inside, just on the outside. Yeah.
You'll have to walk in there sometime this weekend because
Yeah.
it's really cool when you walk in. It does feel like it's got some of the old vibe of the old house, and it's a cool place.
It's one of the few old,
Yeah,
big, beautiful houses actually left in town.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And I think I don't know. There's a lot towards the ocean. There's a lot of what I would say 1920s, 30s cottages.
Right.
But there's not a lot of homes that predate that. And I don't know. I think part of that's probably because of the fire, but there were also, and I don't know, what amounts of houses were in the. Well, I don't think really Seaside started growing in a great way until into the early 1900s, but um,
Right.
it was still, very much a vacation place at that time. That was its whole purpose for people coming from Portland out to the coast on, for vacation.
Right. Because that's how it was basically founded as a vacation spot,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
right.
And I remember as a kid, the boardwalk was or Broadway down there, and where a lot of the buildings are. They've moved the Dodgem cars and such, but a lot of it was boarded up in the 60s. Um, but a lot of places were pretty boarded up in the 60s. Um, Astoria,
I wouldn't know anything about that.
I know. Um, well, my mom being from Astoria, my grandmother was there, so we were down there a lot, and we'd stay with grandma, and Aunt Teddy would take us into Seaside, and we go to Coffinberry Lake to go swimming and stuff. But um,
I'm gonna have you tell me about the old days.
yeah, it was there wasn't a lot there. It was
Right.
um, it's good to see it alive and well and seemingly thriving. But I think a lot of the housing for people too, it seemed like it was fairly poor. And I think a lot of the housing for people probably would have been apartments in above some of the building, the
Mhm.
top, the commercial buildings. That's a guess.
Like the bridge tender and stuff like that. Yeah, because
Yeah,
the apartments above the bridge tender were basically closed up in the 70s.
right. And they weren't all brothels always, were they?
Well, as you know, in some of these cities, it seems like almost every building at one time was a brothel. If you can kind of joke about that. It's like um, there seems to be a certain history in some of these places, but
It was a very different business in those days. Um,
yeah, and the thing is too is like we can't. Most of the places that everyone says, "Oh, it was a brothel in the old days," there's no proof of that, you know.
right. Mhm.
And this is stories that are kind of handed down, and above the bridge tender, previous owners and people have said that, but I haven't found any historic reference to that. But as you know as well, when you talk about things that were maybe not the best kind of activities or were not legal activities, underground, Shanghaiing or, gambling or opium or any of the alcohol during Prohibition,
Mhm.
a lot of that has become folklore because you can't prove a lot of that because there
Right.
were no newspaper stories or there were no one wanted to talk about it and share it because it was not something they were supposed to be doing. So you have to recognize, well, when people say, well, why is there no record of this if these things were going on? Well,
And the
there's a
leadership of these towns was often involved with the activity,
right,
or at least getting a kickback, as were the police. So,
right. Sometimes they, oh, that file just disappeared. We don't know where it went. There's nothing. Yeah, things have a tendency to disappear, and history has a tendency to disappear when we don't want people to talk about it. So,
yeah, I can't imagine how that would ever happen. Um,
yeah, right.
uh, well, okay, you've got the talks going on, or the
Oh yeah,
all this weekend and all this coming week. The next weekend's a conference, so
right.
you've got the tours every night, and then what all? Why do people need to come from Portland to go to this, or why do people need to come from Seattle or San Francisco or whatever?
Well, number one, it's a fun, awesome ghost, event, but it's also in a town that is a cool beach town. Lots of activities, lots of things to go see and do. It's spring break. The weather's supposed to be pretty good. So there's a lot of things to do, and what I'm saying too to people is, this is one of the first weekends and weeks that we have had in a while where people are able to kind of get out, maskless, and be able to go get out of town. And we know that with the price of gas and everything else, that some people maybe aren't traveling a long distance over spring break. So maybe heading to the coast is a good thing.
Mhm.
It's doable. And you don't have to worry that you don't have tickets. And you may not even have to worry about, just coming out here because some of the hotels I know are full. There are still rooms available sometime at some of the places here in Seaside. So I know there are still some rooms available, but don't let that stop you from coming to the beach. Come for the day if you don't want to stay the night or can't afford to stay the night. But we try to make the Ghost Conference an event where people at all budget levels can really come and enjoy it. So what we have is we have a general admission ticket, which is $15. And that $15 is good for the entire 3 days of the conference. And I think sometimes people are shocked by that. And that
Yeah.
Ghost Conference ticket, this is what the general admission ticket allows you to do. It allows you to come into the vendor area
Mhm.
of the convention center, basically see all the vendors, see all the displays that we have. We have two very cool displays this year that I'm super excited about, and you know very much of one of them. Um,
Yes.
a friend of ours, Marge Harding, and Rala Harding are going to make the trip to from Oregon City to Seaside. I'm trying to focus on these connections between. I knew that was going to happen. So at the
Uh-huh.
beginning of this interview, when I was talking, you could see I was mouthing something to my
Uh-huh.
mom. I
Yeah.
said, "Do not let your phone go off," and that's what I was mouthing to her. So just went off.
That's okay.
what I do. So anyway, so so there are so many things to do at the conference where the $15 admission can get you into these different displays and different things like that. And
And
Marge Harding is bringing an amazing display. She has a collection of mourning attire and artifacts that
okay,
she's going to put up. So dresses. What did you wear in that period of mourning when someone in your family had passed, and what did that mean? And the collectibles and the things that people had. Um, in that time period, or to remember their loved ones, like saving hair or putting little lockets or jewelry that was kept as a keepsake, things like that, that she's going to share with the general public that can come in just for that general admission ticket. And she's going to do several presentations throughout the weekend, two on Saturday and two on Sunday, that
oh,
people
good.
go in into the room and get a display and get to actually hear and listen to some of the artifacts and talk about what she's going to share, some of what they are. And that'll all be part of the general admission ticket. So that's kind of exciting. Um,
Marge is the best too.
yeah,
She
those are
does the history and the living history. Um, it's amazing to watch her in action. Hmm.
So, I think that, we're trying to, in this celebration of the 10 years of the Ghost Conference moving from Oregon City to Seaside, I'm trying to make some of those connections and bring, some of that story back to how this thing got started.
Hmm.
Marge Harding worked in the Ermatinger house way back with me when I was in high school. And so it's kind of, she's actually going to share some of her ghost stories that she's never told me. Um, for many, many years, Marge kind of has been quiet about her ghost stories in the house. And in fact, when I was in high school and working with them, I would ask frequently about the ghosts because I was having a lot of my own experiences and I figured they were too. But Marge never really wanted to talk about it too much. And I found that I usually thought that when people didn't want to talk about ghost stories, that they were not talking about it because they didn't believe in it, or that they didn't really want to address it. And I think that's actually more of what was the truth. That most of the time, people that don't want to talk about it do believe in something, or they can't explain it, and they just don't want to really uh, talk about it at all. So she's actually going to be I'm opening up the conference as the first speaker at 3 o'clock on Friday. I'm going to share kind of why Oregon City and Seaside are the homes of the Ghost Conference, and talk about some of the things that have led to where we are today. And then Marge is going to start sharing some of her stories about the Ermatinger house, and you'll enjoy this. The title of our talk is April and the Captain, Spirits of the Ermitaño.
Oh,
And a lot of people don't realize this. There's so many connections. Remember, when we started the Oregon Ghost Conference, it was always in April.
yeah.
And people really didn't know why that, or didn't know that there was that connection. That the Ghost Conference always happened in the spring, and especially in April because of April, the spirit at the Ermatinger house. But
Right.
we've continued that tradition of being spring. And there's a connection to the lilies and a lot of connections to the springtime that have been part of this conference.
Hmm.
Um, so then the other thing that's going to be really cool as the general admission ticket is the some friends that I've just met recently. They do Devin and Ellen. They do tours in Napa City, California, and they are bringing their haunted museum, traveling haunted museum. And so it's just been cracking me up lately because I told Kristen we need to put a post on Facebook. So keep an eye on Facebook in the next couple of days because I said people are starting to send me pictures of them packing their car. And Kristen kind of sent me a message back like, why would that be interesting for people to see? Because I think she envisioned like people sending pictures of them packing their suitcase and stuff. And I'm like, no, Kristen. So I showed some pictures. Tom Guile from Gould Gallery in Oregon City sent me a picture of a big casket hanging out of the back of his Durango, and he's packing. Ellen and Devin from Napa City just sent me a photograph of them standing in their front yard, of his front yard, loading up headstones and loading up another giant casket into a moving van, into a U-Haul truck, and I thought, oh my gosh, this has got to be happening all over the place, because we have another vendor, Haunted Corner, and all these other different places that are going to be, bringing all these collections and things that people can see in the past, whether it's haunted dolls or whatever that people are going to bring. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to share some of the photos. So keep an eye on Facebook. We'll maybe post some of those. So those are the added attractions to
Mhm.
just the general admission. So, hey, if you just have a few hours to come out to Seaside for the day, there's plenty to see and do. And there's ghost tours every night. So
Right.
you can come in. There's plenty of tickets available for that. A lot of the things that are some of our separate events, like the tours and our evening events, are separate ticket price. So you could come just for the evening and attend one of those events, and that might be it. And so, for a pretty reasonable $15 or $20, you're able to come to some of those events, or at least pick one or two of those events that you want to go to.
Right.
So Friday night, basically the vendors area is open till 7, and then after 7 we have kind of the other events, tours, and the late night events and investigations. So Friday night we have a premiere of a movie. We have been so lucky to have the Times Theater have been reopened here in Seaside, their old theater that was built in the 30s, 40s, and they have opened the building back and restored it. And so we had the premiere a while back of All Around Us with Seth Michael, his documentary that we had premiere here.
Right.
And so Ross Allison up in Seattle, he is the owner of Spooked in Seattle, and does ghost tours there. He has been working on a project, and we're going to share his movie, Parasense, and that will be playing at the Times Theater on Friday night. Uh,
What time?
it's 10:30.
Okay.
And there's tickets available for that. You can get those on OregonGhostConference.com. And then that will be, so that's one of our big events on Friday night. You're doing an event on Friday night,
Yep.
actually pre-event before the movie. And you want to mention that?
Sure. Vivian Powell, who's a medium from the London area, is coming. She's actually lived, in India and in Egypt and in, I can't remember all the countries she's lived in as a child, and has met, prime ministers and such with her father. And so she's got a long tradition of mysticism, in a sense, just built in. And she's been a medium since she was a young child. And so we've got what's called a red light event. And it's not that kind of a red light. It's, not Amsterdam. It's it's a Victorian.
So,
It's a Vic-
because
it's what?
I want to tell everyone, because William and Vivian have been pretty secret about this event. They've been telling me about it in multiple meetings, and I still haven't got a full grasp on it. So there has been in the back of my mind this thought that I don't know what this really is about. Are they trying to run something by me? So okay, just thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah, well, we'll give you a cut, um, but
I,
it's
I'm actually really irritated by the fact that part of the thing of planning an event is, one of the things that I've learned is you can't be everywhere at once, and
right.
I am gonna miss it. So I am gonna be doing ghost tours, and I will not be at this event. So we're gonna have to record it or something.
We'll have to figure it out. And honestly, I don't know if the visuals will record, because
Well, right, absolutely. That's yeah.
it's a very different thing.
I don't plan on recording it live for everyone else. I want people to come
Yeah,
buy a ticket and come, but I want to be able to kind of experience what it was because I'm going to be busy that night.
right. And
I think I'm pretty
I
sure.
hope,
Well, I know I'll have tours that night, so
yeah. But it goes back to Victorian times. It's pretty common in England at this point still. And we're not doing mediumship,
right.
but we are inviting those on the other side that want to make an appearance to make an appearance with victims, volunteers from the audience.
What was that, William? I missed a little part.
Oh, just a slip of the tongue, you know.
Careful with William. He slips things in there like that, and you're not sure if he's joking. And the truth is, he's not.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be a really fun event, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So, Shadowing with the Spirit, Friday night. And tickets for that are $20, and it's at 7:30
Hmm.
at the Seaside Convention Center. And then we'll have my tours that night. We have investigations that night. Tickets for the investigations are going super fast. So
Right,
some of the events still have lots of tickets, but the events, the new investigations, the ones that are of course the most popular, every time you go to a new place, everyone wants to go there.
right.
So all of our investigations at the Starry Night Inn this year are sold out, and all of our investigation. We did actually just have one investigation at the Times Theater after the movie, and that's sold out.
Okay,
We do have investigations tickets still available for the bridge tender, which is Friday going into Saturday night and Saturday night going into Sunday night or Sunday morning. Sorry, Friday night going into Saturday morning and Saturday night going into Sunday morning. So there's tickets available still for those. And you know what? Quite honestly, the other venues I think are exciting because they're new venues to
mhm.
investigate. That's why they sold out. But I don't think they're as active as the bridge tender. So the bridge tender has been the place that's definitely has the most ghost stories in Seaside, the most active place in Seaside,
I've
and
had experiences there just going in for lunch,
yeah,
not even during the conference week, just
yeah.
going in. Yeah,
So it's been a great partner for our event. They've really been hugely supportive of this event, and there's 32 tickets available for each night, and we still have a fair amount of tickets left for that. So
okay.
you can get tickets for that. Still, it's $30 for that investigation.
Now, the other investigations, they all start at 11 or 12, do they?
There's some of them that were a little earlier too, which might be part of the reason that they were sold out too. Because when you do this event, people are like, "Are you crazy?" Because it starts at like 9 in the morning. Well, Friday we start at 3, but Saturday and Sunday it starts at 9 a.m. and we're going,
Yeah.
all day and all night mostly. So
Well, and there's got to be an after party periodically.
yes, yes, like have a spirit after the event if
Right.
things are still open.
Yeah.
So that's mostly Friday. Let's talk about some of the Saturday things that are going on.
Right.
Um, we have this one. We're all really good friends with Inkasha Menti, and she has been part of the Oregon Ghost Conference for quite a while. In fact, I think it was one of the first times I went to a gallery reading, and I was so impressed with her. She the first time she did the Oregon Ghost Conference was in Oregon City. It
Yep.
was at the Pioneer Center, and I'm pretty skeptic of people that have psychic abilities. I do believe that everyone has some psychic abilities, but I also know that some people take that to a level where it can be a little bit, you know, um, not believable,
Right.
or you might be, I've seen places where, I've seen people do kind of psychic readings where you think, okay, well, anyone could come up with that. There's a lot of things that you can read from a person just by opening yourself up to it, and reading the signs and reading the ways that they are talking. You can pick
Asking the right questions.
Right, and
Mhm.
I'm not, and that's not necessarily a psychic ability. There's a
Right.
lot of things that you can pick up from people, and so when you see someone being able to really pick up things that you can sit in an audience, and by doing gallery readings too, that sometimes just looking in the audience before anyone says anything, you can look in the audience and know exactly who they're talking about. You'll
Right.
have you'll have Nkasha being, talking about someone in the audience, and she doesn't yet know who it is, but you look out in the audience and you're like, okay, this person is, it's hitting them. um, and then you find out what's really, what is really being picked up, and it's really deep, and to see people's reaction to it, it really made an impression on me. So we've had her back quite often at the
Yeah.
Ghost Conference. You always want to change things up every year to bring people back and not have the same thing for our attendees to see over and over again. But Nkasha's one of those people that we've had back numerous times, because it's always a good show. It's always a different read on it, and she's always really gifted. So that was we were all kind of excited about, the paranormal conferences coming back, because we all attend the Port Gamble Ghost Conference that our
Mhm.
friend Pete does, and she was, supposed to be there, and they got some other random people, I think, to fill in. I can't remember. Oh,
Oh,
that was
yes.
you.
Yeah, Pete and I,
Yeah.
which was an incredible honor that she allowed that to. She was sick that weekend and she couldn't be there, and
Well,
it's quite humbling.
to be quite honest, I came walking in the door just as I think Pete found out that Nkasha wasn't going to make it, or maybe he knew already. But
Um,
I came into the building there for the Port Gamble Ghost Conference to get my tickets and stuff and everything. And I think Pete might have been talking to you about the gallery reading that night, and I was at the ticket booth thing, and I heard that, and because I think you were just standing off to the distance, and I thought, so Pete and William are doing the gallery reading, and I was at the ticket table. I said, "Can I have my money back?"
well, and Pete and
I
I have done it before. We're a good team.
No,
Pete's good.
absolutely. No, of
Yeah.
course I was joking,
Oh,
because
I know.
it was, actually, it was a cool event too.
Yeah.
So we have a good core group of people in this that, do really good job. And Pete and you have actually worked together quite a bit, so it's a good
Right.
team to have.
But
Um,
let me add one story about
yeah,
Ankasha, if I could, that just because she amazes me, and I'm hard to amaze. Um,
yeah,
I'm as skeptical as you are, maybe more so, even though I'm a medium for a living.
right.
Um, but at one of the galleries in Seaside, somebody handed her uh,
I remember.
a $2 bill or something. I can't remember.
Yeah,
She talked about this whole history and where and the people with this, and including there was another person, somebody's missing. There's another, and I can't remember if the name was Richard or whatever, but anywhere. And the people she was talking to, who became friends of mine, after they were acquaintances a little bit before I knew them, but they've become quite good friends since. Um, didn't know, but it turns out doing the ancestry DNA, there had been another R named
right.
male who had been different mother or something, and all of it. I mean, this is stuff that's right out of a detective story, and it
Yeah.
was just boom, boom, boom. It was just right there,
I
and
really enjoyed watching that first one in Oregon City, and that's
Hmm.
why we've had her back so much, because it's
Yeah.
been really cool. So that's Saturday night. That's our main event really for Saturday night, and tickets for that are still available,
Hmm.
and those are $25. It's at 7:30 at the convention center in the Canicum room. So that'll be cool. And then let's see, we do have some virtual events that we're going to be doing throughout the weekend. There's about I think 5 different virtual classes, so that people want to be a part of the Ghost Conference and not make the drive to Seaside. Those are available.
Hmm.
And then we have all these classes. We have 30 some classes, and there's
Wow.
so many different classes. We kind of don't always promote them all individually, because on our Facebook page, Oregon Ghost Conference Facebook page, you can scroll back through that. We've posted all the speakers, all the classes, and all of the topics. And so not only do we have classes going on all throughout the day amidst all of this, but we have all the vendor spaces and all the booths that you can visit. We have about 40 vendors,
Hmm.
45 vendor spaces. And we have all the speakers. So on the main stage, as all these other things are going on, you will have speakers every hour on all sorts of different topics. Um, and I'll point out a few of them. I'll be opening up the event. I told you Marge is going to talk about some of her experiences at the Ermitanger House.
Hmm.
Um, we have, let's see, a lot of people that are good friends of ours. Um, we have, let me go back to Friday. I'm really excited about. Um, we have I think it's pronounced Ira Kitchmacher, is an author, and I'm really excited about his topic. He's an author here in the Northwest, and so he's going to do a talk on Friday night at 6 o'clock on the main stage of the haunted graveyard of the Pacific. So we know here on
Oh.
the Oregon coast
Hmm.
um, that we have the graveyard of the Pacific, which is essentially referencing the area of the Oregon coast where all these shipwrecks have occurred in the history of this place. And so I'm really interested in that, because we talk about some of the shipwrecks on the ghost tours, but to get more involved in some of those stories really adds to the atmosphere of this place. So I definitely wanted him to kind of be one of the opening night speakers to kind of talk
Right.
and set the mood for where we are on the Oregon coast.
And you can go and see one of the shipwrecks. It's about 20-minute drive away. Um,
I haven't been
depending,
to Peter Iredale in a while, but there's much left of it, William.
it depends on where the sands are. I've over the course of my life, you've seen this much of it
Right,
to the whole length, and still,
right.
just a couple years ago, you could see some of the ribbing and and the beam running along the length of it and stuff at the end. So don't climb on it, people. You see people climb on it all the time. It's so
Yeah.
stupid.
Let me see who else. There's some, because I have. Oh, Jeff Davis, another Pacific Northwest author, one of our good friends, will be
Mhm.
speaking as well. He's written, oh my gosh, a dozen books on the Pacific Northwest haunted places. Does the tours at the barracks in Vancouver, and hosts a paranormal pub every month at the Underbar in Vancouver, which I was
Right.
at last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever that was. So Jeff's always great. He'll be sharing a lot of stories, also bringing kind of a connection to the Pacific Northwest and stories beyond just the Oregon coast.
Mhm.
And he's actually his topic, always a bridesmaid, never my own show.
Right.
Jeff Davis, if you know, you've probably seen him on a lot of different TV shows, being either a historic expert, really, to talk about. He's so knowledgeable of the history of the area, so he goes on to a lot of these ghost shows to talk about the history of the particular places.
Right.
Um, but he's also been doing a show in Alaska. Alaska, do you know the name of it? Alaska Bigfoot or something like that?
Is it Killer Alaska Bigfoot? I need to figure out how to watch it.
Right.
I
So
don't have cable, so
yeah,
I need to find it online.
he makes appearances on a lot of really cool shows, and so he'll be talking about that and some of his experiences. So I'm looking forward to that. Pete, our good friend at Port Gamble, is gonna come and share some of his stories from Port Gamble. Also, he's gonna kind of host a time period where people can come up and tell some of their stories.
Oh, good.
A lot of great authors. Like we got Karen Fraser coming.
Hmm.
She's going to be doing some classes. She's doing a sound bath class, but she's also talking about noisy ghosts on Saturday. And she, of course, is a good friend that we met through journeys up into Washington and
Yep.
through some of these ghost conferences, but also a place called Wellington.
Hmm.
And if you don't know about Wellington, it's a pretty fascinating place. And ask Karen about it.
She
And
literally wrote the book on it. In fact, two of them.
did, yeah.
Hmm.
And she knows her stuff, and she loves talking about that place. And so, um, one of the well, it was the largest avalanche disaster or tragedy in the United States. Is that right?
Avalanche train disaster, yeah, in the U.S. Hmm.
And so it's a story that I never had heard of before, and so really intriguing.
Hmm.
Ross Allison will be talking about haunted prisons, aside from even the premiere of the movie and the other things that are happening. I said Devin and Ellen from um, Napa City are coming up, and they're doing kind of a talk about their experiences, their misadventures of paranormal life. So that's
Okay.
cool. They're kind of end the evening on Saturday, and then on Sunday we have a couple. We have more speakers on Sunday. We're going to do our raffle. We do a fun raffle at the Ghost Conference where people can buy raffle tickets throughout the weekend and enter to win, baskets and different books and different prizes that our vendors generously donate to keep this event going. So that'll be fun.
Okay.
Let me share some of the classes. I know we're running out of time unless you had another question.
I don't have any questions showing up. Just a couple highs,
Oh,
which
yeah.
I flashed.
Hi, Holly,
And Jamie. Jamie is, uh,
Amy.
yeah, I think he's a
Cool.
friend overseas.
Yeah.
And
So there's a
um,
lot of classes. There's a lot of availability for the classes. So if people, want to come out to the coast and just take one of these cool classes, go to OregonGhostConference.com and click on 2022 schedule, and you'll have a layout of all the weekend and all the classes. Like I said, there's 30 some classes. 1 hour classes are $15 to do the 1 hour classes, and the 2 hour classes are 25. And there's such a variety from tarot card reading to folklore, haunted folklore. There's oh my gosh, spiritual hygiene, basics in ghost hunting. William, you're doing a class, right?
yep.
Open yourself to history. That class is going to be done in a house just down the street, actually. So um, definitely check out the classes and buy tickets for those.
Hmm. Yeah. There are a lot of good people coming. That's one of the nice things about the conference. This one and Pete's as well is you get to meet some really good, interesting people, both as attendees and presenters and vendors and the whole bit. And I always feel bad because I never get a chance to spend as much time with everybody as I want to.
Oh, I
And
definitely don't because
yeah,
I'm always running around running things, but I try to.
uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, I think that's what made when me and you started this back in Oregon City, it was I wanted to have a more of a dialogue where people just randomly came in off the street and were being able to ask questions and have conversations,
Mhm.
that it opened it up to the general public in a way that people could share things. And that's what's happened. And what was really fascinating to me was look at all the collaborations that this event has created.
Right.
Uh, some of these movies were created because people met each other at this event and have started working together, or
Mhm.
projects that have happened, or books that have been written since this event has happened because people were experiencing things as a part of it. And that has just expanded in a way that's just been really cool to watch happen, and something I didn't really expect.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been somewhat magical. So excellent. Um, does anybody have any questions for Rocky? Okay. How about a little quick? You've got Haunted Oregon City,
Yes.
Northwest Ghost Tours. What's going on with that?
So
This.
I have a shop in downtown Oregon City, Haunted Oregon City Tours, Books, and Gifts. And actually, my tour season, I'm probably going to start my ghost tours back up in Oregon City earlier than I usually do. Normally, I start tours, um, because I'm a school teacher, I usually try to wait till school's out to start tours. And then I usually take a little bit of a break. So I have usually started tours right around 4th of July. But I know there's a lot of interest. So I'm hoping to start some tours. It might not be every weekend in the spring, but I definitely, after the Ghost Conference is completed, I'm going to start doing some tours into the spring, into the summer. And
Mhm.
then I'll have tours throughout the summer. I'll be doing tours up through Halloween, the evening of Halloween. And then I usually take a little bit of a break in November from tours. And then I do my Christmas tours in December in Oregon City. So those will all start back up. I'm also hoping to start my talks back up again. Um,
Right.
I had a series at McMiniman's at the White Eagle. I'm not sure if those will come back. McMiniman is still dealing with some stuff with their business and some of their events, but I would love to start that back up. There's a couple of venues in Oregon City that I might be starting a series of talks, kind of paranormal pubs, or either just, speakers. I like to do kind of, talks on some of the different histories or areas around Portland and things like that. So those may start back up again in some small
Good.
way and come back.
Good. Yeah, I think every building in Oregon City is haunted, and we've got lots of
Even,
pubs.
even the one that you're sitting in right now.
Oh yes, especially this one sometimes. And it's not even old. Nobody's died. It was built on a vacant field.
Right.
Um, but that's okay. They're welcome. They don't cause any problems.
Now, when are you heading out here? You'll be out here on
Friday.
Friday. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We're doing it the budget way this time. And Vivian's not here she's only here for 2 weeks, so it's a lot to pack in.
Oh
But
yeah.
yes,
I keep forgetting all these people that are coming, so I can't wait to see her.
yeah. And that'll be trouble. Um,
Oh yeah, it'll
the
be.
three of
Well,
us together.
I was gonna say we're all troublemakers separately,
Yes.
but when we get together, I think it multiplies. So it's not even three times the
No,
chaos.
it's exponentially.
It
Yeah.
definitely.
Mhm.
So, but I'm not sure. Maybe we'll be safe. Maybe people will be safe because there's gonna be times where I'll be doing my tour and you'll be doing your show, or you'll be doing a class. Maybe the world is aligned in a way that we're not all three going to be together at one time, because that might be too much.
Well, unless we do some tours together. Those are fun, folks. They really are. And yeah, they're not gonna end on time. But it's the last tour because I'm doing the 9:30 tours.
They will
Not
end.
the
Yeah, the 7:30 tours will definitely end by 9:30, or at least 9:32, because I start tours at 9:30 again. So yeah.
Right, but the 9:30 tour, we try to end them on time, partly because we're tired. But,
Well, partly because we need to go, to a place that's close, that doesn't close, and we want to get a drink after the tour. You know,
Yes.
oh, the tour is at 11 o'clock. We need to get going because we have one last time to get a drink, probably at the end of the.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they do tend to go overtime a little bit sometimes if we're together.
Oh, for well, even if we're not,
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
well,
Hmm.
I do.
Yeah. Oh, it's fun. Um, and we try to make them, each tour is different. You can take them twice and it's not going to be the same tour. The same with this tours in Oregon City. I used to give some of them. And the stories, there are too many stories to tell in a tour. So we change them up and people have experiences. And then over time, those become part of the tours.
For sure.
And so um, if you've been before, come and do them again. It won't be the same. And I try to throw a little mediumship in with mine, get people to open up a little bit. And we've had things happen on the tours in Seaside. In Oregon City, oh, yeah, lots of stuff happens on them, but yeah. So, well, we're about out of time. Rocky, how OregonGhostConference.com, is that the website?
And then for my tours in Oregon City, hauntedOregonCity.com. For the ghost tours in Seaside, hauntedseaside.com.
Okay. And would all of those links be on the conference webpage?
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Okay. So check that out. And I can't thank you enough. I really appreciate it. Hey, it's a chance to actually talk to you during the middle of your busy times. So,
Yes, and now I got to go back to work for a few hours. Probably
okay.
eat something. I have another interview tonight
Yep.
with Jeremy Scott, uh,
Yeah.
and so we'll be doing that. And then I got my tours tonight, so busy evening.
He's going to be having interviews during the conference too.
Yes, that's exactly right. So he is going to do. Let me find that out really quick.
I
Uh,
think I'm on at 1:30 on Sunday.
Okay, I haven't got the breakdown yet, so you know more than I do on that. So we're actually doing two different live shows, Into the Paranormal,
Hmm.
with Jeremy Scott, and that's on Saturday 3 to 5,
Hmm.
and then on Sunday 1 to 4, and he'll be doing that live to the audience as well in the Mechanicum room, and then people can also listen to that. And then I think he's going to replay those interviews on KXL on midnight on those nights.
Fantastic. It's a good show, and he's a nice guy. I like him.
Yeah,
I've been
yeah,
on the show before.
yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much, and good luck this week. Have fun with the ghosts.
All right, and I will see you on Friday.
Perfect.
All
Bye bye.
right, well, thank you.
Thank you.